So here is a modulus inequality, and we are supposed to solve this inequality to find the value of x, or the values of x. So in order to solve this inequality, as we explained in the previous video earlier, the first step is to change the inequality to equality as a part of our solution only, okay? So I will rewrite this inequality in this way. I will write it as the absolute value of 3x plus 2 plus the absolute value of 3x minus 2 is equal to 8, okay? Then the next step is to isolate one of these modulus or absolute expression on one side of the equation and move the other part, all the other part, to the other side of the equation. So I will do that. I will keep the first one in the first place, in the original place. 3x plus 2 is equal to 8 minus the absolute value of 3x minus 2. So as you see, I just moved one of these modulus expression from one side of the equation to the other side of the equation, and this term is isolated in the one side of the equation, okay? So now, in order to solve this equation, absolute equation, I need to take the values out of the absolute value. And in order to do so, I will have two possible outcomes. So let me just talk about this modulus. I want to remove the absolute value of sign of this expression to make it free to calculate and to be able to simplify this expression. So I will write it. So I will keep the isolated part in the original status, and I will write it like 3x plus 2 is equal to 8. So when I want to move something, an expression, out of the absolute value, either it should be positive, two possible outcomes, or negative. So the positive one will be the positive, nothing. So it will be 8 minus 3x minus 2, okay? And the negative one, it will be the absolute value of 3x plus 2 is equal to 8 minus, so let me just multiply it, okay, this part by a negative. So this part must be multiplied by a negative when it comes out of the absolute sign, absolute values. It will be negative. Let me write it in this way, okay? Negative multiplied by 3x minus 2, which will be equal to, if we simplify it, 8 plus 3x minus 2, okay? So this will be the possible outcome when we consider it as negative, okay? Now let's begin with the positive one here. Let's consider this equation, okay, first, and then we will move on to the second scenario and second possible outcome. I will write this, the first expression here. It will be absolute value of 3x plus 2 is equal to 8 minus 3x minus 2, okay? And now, in order to solve this equation, again, I will have two possible outcomes because I need to remove the absolute value of this part. So in order to remove the absolute value of this part, I will have two possible outcomes, and two possible outcomes will be either positive or negative, okay? So the positive one will be 3x plus 2, if you take it positive, will be equal to 8 minus 3 3x minus 2. So therefore it will be 3x plus 2 is equal to 8 minus 3x plus 2, which these two will be cancelled out, and then the answer will be equal to 6x is equal to 8, and then finally x is equal to 4 over 3. So this is the first critical value that I have found so far. Okay, so this is the first critical value. So what if, but if the possible value is negative? So I will write it here, and that will be 3x plus 2 will be equal to, because it comes out of the absolute value, will be equal to minus 8, the whole, okay, negative, minus 3x minus 2. So therefore it will be 3x plus 2 is equal to, let's simplify it, minus 8 plus 3x and then minus 2, and this will be like cancelling out these 3x's, and then 2 will be equal to negative 10, which is not possible. So this is not possible, and not accepted. So not accepted. Okay? So now we have done the first outcome, possible outcome. Now we will move to the second one, which is here. 3x plus 2 is equal to 8 plus 3x minus 2, the one that we simplified, okay, the one that we simplified. Now, again, in this case, we will have two possible outcomes. Either this will be positive, or this will be negative. So if positive, it will be 3x plus 2 is equal to 8 plus 3x minus 2, and then these 3x's will be cancelled out, and then this will be 2 is equal to 6, which is not possible. So it's not possible. But the negative part, it will be 3x plus 2 is equal to negative. So we multiply by negative, yeah? We multiply the whole, this expression by negative. And this will be equal to negative. If we simplify it, 6 minus 3x. Okay, and then this will be 6x. So let me write 6x. 6x will be equal to negative 8, and then the value of x finally will be equal to negative 4 over 3. So this one is another critical value that we have found here. So we have found two critical values, and we are also done with this part. Okay, so we have done with both cases. Okay, now I will draw the x-axis, and I will mark the critical values on the x-axis. So this is the x-axis. So here is 0, here is 1, 2, 3, and so on. -1, -2, -3. So 4/3, positive and negative, we have two critical values, is equal to almost 1.333. Okay, so let me just show it here, mark it here. This will be 4/3, and also this one is -4/3, and they should be in a solid circle. And then the next step, which is the most important one, is the final step is to approach from the negative infinity to this critical value, which is on my way. I am just suppose I am approaching from negative infinity to this, the first critical value, and I will reach this critical value. So I want to make sure whether these values which fall into this area belong to the answer, my answer, or not. So in order to do so, I will just take, let's say, if x is less than -4/3, so this value, the values that fall into this area. So let's select a number and say x is equal to -2, okay? And we need to test it in the original equation to see if it satisfies the original equation or not. So let's say x is equal to -2. So the original equation, I will write it again. 3x plus 2, the absolute value, plus the absolute value of 3x minus 2 should be less side 8. Okay. Now, if I plug in x is equal to 2, substitute x by -2, this will be absolute value of 3 times -2, so it will be plus 2 plus the absolute value of 3 times -2, -2 must be equal and less than 8. Okay, let's see if it is correct or not. So this will be -4, the absolute value of -4 plus the absolute value of -8, which is actually 12, is less than 8, which is not correct. So not correct. So x cannot be, so this is not correct. X cannot be less than this value, this critical value. So this one is not correct. Okay, let me erase this part and check the other side. Now what if x is more than -4/3? So this area I need to check to see whether they belong to the answer or not. But I cannot keep going until positive infinity, because +4/3 is on my way. So I need to make sure whether this area also belongs to my answer or not. So I need to check this area also, okay? So let me just give a number. If x is larger than -4/3, and let's say x is equal to, let's say, -1, for example, okay? Let's say -1, and see whether it satisfies the original equation or not. So the original equation, it will be 3 times -1 plus 2 plus the absolute value of 3 times -1 minus 2 must be less than equal than 8. And if we just simplify it, negative 3 plus 2 will be negative 1, the absolute value of negative 1 plus the absolute value of 3. Okay, so it will be negative 5, so it will be less than equal than 8, which is correct. Yes, the absolute means 6 is less than 8, so that is correct. So this area is my answer. This area is my answer. Definitely this area is my answer. So this area is my answer that I am coloring. But let me check and make sure that the x's which are larger than 4 over 3 do not belong to my answer. So I will erase it here again, and I will check what if x is larger than this time positive 4 over 3, and see, let's say for example x is equal to 2. Then I need to check it in the original inequality. I say equation which was wrong, inequality. Okay, so 3 times 2 plus 2, okay, plus the absolute value of 3 times 2 minus 2 must be less and equal 8. So now let's see if it works or not. So this will be 6 plus 2, 8, plus 6 minus 2 will be 4, positive 4, okay, or whatever. It will be less than 8, which is not correct. So it's not possible. No, not correct. So this is not also correct. Not correct. So the answer only is the values which are between these two critical values. Therefore, at the end, I need to write my answer in this way. I will write my answer that x's that are equal and larger than negative 4 over 3 and less than positive 4 over 3. So this is the final answer of this equation. So the value of x must be between negative 4 over 3 and 4 or positive 4 over 3. So this is the answer for this